Hello everyone. In this video, let us discuss about redemption of preference shares. Generally, during the lifetime of the company, it cannot repay its share capital to its shareholders. But the capital accumulated through redeemable preference shares can be returned to its shareholders either at the option of the company or after the completion of the redeemable preference shares are those shares which can be redeemed by the company in accordance with the terms of issue. The terms of issue generally includes the time of redemption and whether the redemption will be at par or premium. A company limited by the shares can issue redeemable preference shares subject to the provisions of the Section 80 of the Companies Act. Such shares must also be authorized by the articles of the company. What are the legal requirements of redemption of the preference shares? As it has been already stated, redeemable preference shares can be redeemed by the company. But Section 55 of the Companies Act 2013 lays down certain conditions while redeeming the redeemable preference shares. Which are those conditions? The company can be redeemed only fully paid preference shares. If company wants to redeem partly paid preference shares, call must be made first for the partly paid shares and then redemption must be carried out. Redemption of preference shares may be at par or at premium but not at discount according to the terms of issue. If redemption is at premium, such premium must be met out of the divisible profits. The company is allowed to redeem preference shares only from the two sources. One is divisible profit of the company and the second thing is proceeds of fresh issue of the shares but not debentures made for the purpose of the redemption. When redeemable preference shares are redeemed out of the redeemed profits or redeemable profits, a sum equal to the nominal value excluding redemption premium must be transferred to the reserve account called Capital Redemption Reserve Account. The Capital Redemption Reserve Account can be used only for the purpose of issue of fully paid bonus shares to the shareholders. Redemption of redeemable preference shares by a company should not be considered as the reduction in its authorized share capital. After the redemption of the redeemable preference shares by the company, it can issue further shares up to the nominal amount of the shares redeemed. It will not result into increase in share capital if company issues new shares for the purpose of redemption. If we analyze the such legal requirements, we can see that the main purpose of these legal requirements is to protect the interest of the creditors of the company. Then what are the divisible and non-divisible profits? The company is allowed to redeem the preference shares only from the two sources. They are divisible profits of the company and from the proceeds of the fresh issue of shares made for the purpose of redemption. When redeemable preference shares are redeemed out of the divisible profits, a sum equal to the nominal value, that is excluding redemption premium, must be transferred to a reserve account called Capital Redemption Reserve Account. Then what are the divisible profits and which are those non-divisible profits? So divisible profits which are available for the redemption of redeemable preference shares: general reserve, profit and loss appropriation account, reserve fund, insurance fund, dividend equalization fund, workmen's compensation fund, workmen's accident fund, investment fluctuation fund, contingency reserves, taxation reserves. Divisible profits which are not available for redemption of preference shares: security premium account, forfeited shares account, capital reserve, profit prior to incorporation, development rebate reserve, debenture premium. Proceeds of fresh issue. The company is allowed to redeem the preference shares out of the proceeds of fresh issue of shares made for the purpose of the redemption here. The word proceeds from fresh issue means the amount received excluding amount of share premium, but it is the net amount if the shares are issued at par or at discount. Proceeds of fresh issue is equal to total amount received from the fresh issue minus amount of premium received. Providing premium payable on redemption of preference shares. If company redeems the preference shares at a premium, the premium payable on the redemption of preference shares can be provided out of the divisible profits only. Redemption of partly paid preference shares. The company can redeem only fully paid preference shares. If the company wants to redeem partly paid preference shares, first call must be made for that particular partly paid shares, then redemption must be carried out. Redemption of preference shares whose shareholders are not traceable and on which there are calls in arrears. There may be a possibility that sometimes the holders of redeemable preference shares are not traceable. In such case, some steps can be followed. While transferring the capital redemption reserve account out of the divisible profit, the nominal value of such not traceable preference shares or the shareholders can also be taken along with the other shares. If such shares are redeemed with the premium, we can provide for the premium of such not traceable shares along with the other shares. In case of passing the journal entry for transferring the preference capital and premium to the shareholders account, we should not consider the capital and premium of such not traceable shares. In case of passing journal entry for actual payment of the preference shareholders, the amount due to the not traceable shares must not be taken into account. In the balance sheet, after the redemption, the amount of share capital in respect of the not traceable shares should be entered under the head share capital. The amount of redemption premium must be shown under the head current liabilities and provisions on the liability side. Accounting entries necessary for the redemption of preference shares. In the step 1, making the call for uncalled amount if any. For making the call, preference share call account debited to preference share capital account. When the call money received, bank account debited to preference share call account. Step 2, fresh issue of shares. Fresh issue of the shares, if it is made at par, then bank account debited to share capital account. If it is made at premium, bank account debited to security premium account to share capital account. If it is made at a discount, then bank account debited, discount on issue of shares account debited to share capital account. Step 3, provision for redemption premium on preference shares. Redemption of preference shares may be at par or premium according to the terms of issue. If redemption is at premium, such premium must be met out of the divisible profit. Then entry will be any of the divisible profit account debited to premium on preference shares account. Step 4, transfer of all divisible profit to capital redemption reserve account. When the redeemable preference shares are redeemed out of the divisible profit, a sum equal to the nominal value must be transferred to a reserve account called capital redemption reserve account. Then entry will be any of the divisible profit account debited to capital redemption reserve account. Step 5, actual redemption of preference shares. For the redemption of preference shares at par, preference share capital account debited to preference shareholders account. Next entry will be preference shareholders account debited to bank account. If the redemption of preference shares are made at premium, preference share capital account debited, premium on redemption of preference share account debited to preference shareholders account. Then preference shareholders account debited to bank account. Thank you.